Here's an interesting question. Why were there so many votes in 2020 versus this year? We've had 4 years of Joe Biden and 15, 16 million fewer Democrat votes. What happened there? It's an interesting little mystery. I can't wait to unpack that with my friend Steve Deace, host of the incredible Steve Deace Show. Hey, Steve, I'm looking at 20 million fewer Democrat votes this year than 2020. I realize Kamala Harris was a historically bad candidate, but man, there's bad, and then there's 15 million votes fewer bad. What happened, Steve?
It's, to quote the great film of our childhood, Weird Science, Jesse, it's a mind scrambler. I mean, it's just, it's crazy. I've got no answers. I mean, it's mystifying, it's astounding, it's an enigma, it's a puzzle, it's all of those things. And I couldn't possibly venture forth a guess except to go back and do what I did on election night 2020 when I was calling BS on a lot of the numbers we were seeing that just could not possibly be true, and got a whole bunch of censorship and defunds from all the major social media platforms. As a result, of course, none of that money will be refunded to me that I never got. So I guess I'll just take winning this election as the consolation prize, brother.
Steve, how are you feeling about this election? Obviously, we're all feeling good. I'm not asking that generic question, but right now, the things I'm hearing out of the Trump camp are extremely encouraging to me. When I hear things like RFK is going to start blowing up the FDA, that is music to my ears. When I hear that Elon Musk is going to go in there with a hatchet to the federal budget, that's music to my ears. I am unreasonably excited, and you know me well. I don't ever get unreasonably excited about anything, but I am right now.
I am too, and of course that makes me just waiting for the shoe to drop here, but I am too, based on the conversations that I have had. I think they're way more prepared. I think they're talking to a lot of the right people. Just one anecdotal example, I was doing a Q&A on Twitter on my flight home back from the Blaze last night. And most of the questions I got were, what's your dream cabinet? Who do you think should be in these positions? And I finally just told people, I'm not going to answer any of those questions because they're talking to so many people I like, respect, and know that my fear is if I say out loud that I think they'd be great picks, I'd harm their chances. All right. So I'm not going to say anything. You know, they have done their homework. I know people that are up for cabinet positions that are into their third round of interviews already. This thing is way more planned out, way more plotted out, and not even by 2016's kind of haphazard, I can't believe we won this thing, but by really almost any standard we've seen on the right in our time. I mean, they are ready to lead and govern for sure. Again, whether they'll be able to execute it when the time comes and the reality of the Republican Party we're all in and how much it hates us, particularly if they don't do what you said, which is something I communicated right away to people I know close to the former and now next president. You cannot allow John Cornyn and John Thune, a Mitch McConnell acolyte, to take that position as Senate leader and just play obstructionist for the next 4 years. You've got to put somebody in there that is loyal to you and your mandate. I agree with you on that. I think that's the number one priority. They're going to try to have that voice vote maybe as soon as this week or next at the latest to try to ram that through. And President Trump has got to put his thumb, ring finger, every appendage on the scale to make sure someone has that position that is not an empty corporatist suit. But other than that, I am very impressed with the stuff I've heard in the last 24, 48 hours about their preparation to do this thing and actually keep his promises.
Steve, let's have a chat about RFK Jr., because actually there's a wonderful piece on The Blaze talking about the FDA, CDC. I brought it up earlier. I'm not some RFK Jr. fan by any stretch of the imagination, but the things he says about America's health, about the crap that's in our foods, about attacking government corruption, they are music to a guy like me's ears, and I am hopeful.
I am too. I think a very revealing moment is when President Trump, unprompted during his victory speech on Tuesday night, brought him back up again. And he reiterated what he said to Joe Rogan, which is, I'm going to let him go wild when it comes to public health. He has sold me on that stuff. Now on the oil on that kind of stuff, we're going to keep him away from all that liquid gold. It's the same thing he said to Joe Rogan. But and this is what I would say to the MAGA people. And a lot of this, frankly, before COVID, I thought was kooky, granola crunching kind of stuff. And I find myself now aligned with all these people pushing back on the COVID narrative. And my eyes were open to a lot of things that I didn't understand and even want to believe prior to COVID. I would say this to these people: when you help Donald Trump, he does pay you back. And my native tribe of evangelicals, he was intimately aligned with us in 2016, got record turnouts of our numbers, won him the presidency. The number 2 issue in that election were judicial nominations, and he won those voters by 25 points. A lot of those, that's my native tribe, evangelicals. And then he delivered, appointed the justices that overturned Roe. But then you saw really that that group of people, my group of people, they were not prepared for the world after Trump kept his promises and have lost a lot of their political clout as a result. And so my hope is that the MAGA people, Donald Trump, hey, you're the unique coalition partner this time. Like, how could you guys unite with the guy who's twice divorced and everything else? This time it is, how can the MAGA people unite with the guy that's the author of the jab and he's a germaphobe and everything else? Well, he's going to pay them back. I am convinced of that. He pays you. He's an art of the deal transactional guy. He's going to pay them back. And I hope the MAGA people are way more prepared than my evangelicals were when Trump gives them what they want, that they are prepared to run with it and do something about it. Having met RFK Jr. and spent some time with him, I think he's definitely way more prepared than your average Mike Pence wannabe evangelical leader.
Steve, obviously the other side is going to respond. Communists are demonic and they're fighting a revolution, so they're not going to stop fighting that revolution now that they had a horrible election loss. But maybe I'm still basking in the glow of Tuesday, but it doesn't feel like it's got the same juice as of right now. It feels like they're going to have a harder time getting that going. Talk to me. Am I crazy?
You're not crazy. I mean, 2 things can be true at once. They've got a real problem. I mean, Donald Trump lost New York by less than Kamala Harris lost Florida. Donald Trump may end up getting almost 40% of the vote in Queens. Donald Trump won Hispanic men, won them by 10 points. Donald Trump got a historic amount of Hispanic voters by a GOP presidential candidate while running on a platform of mass deportations. Donald Trump won non-college educated whites by 32 points. If you go back, Jesse, and look at the last time we won the popular vote, the electorate is completely inverted. All right, George W. Bush won white college graduates overwhelmingly, lost white non-college graduates overwhelmingly. Well, this time it's inverted. Kamala won white college grads by 10, and she lost non-college whites by 32. So it's an entirely different environment now. Donald Trump has raided their coalition and has reduced them essentially to beta males and viewers. And I repeat myself. And so they're introspective over there. There are some people that are like, we got to stop running on crazy stuff. Joe Scarborough has even said some of this kind of stuff. Then there's plenty of other people there, though, that are committed to the crazy. They are definitely licking their wounds more than we anticipated and what we saw after 2016. But I would still caution people. It is over 70 days until that inauguration. There's a lot of things they could scheme and plot to try to disrupt things on the streets of America between now and then.
Yeah, it sure is. Steve, my brother, thank you. As always, I appreciate you. I would thank you for coming to my YouTube channel, but I know how brilliant it is, and I know you love it here. So subscribe and watch. We're going to start really ramping things up and putting some funny stuff, some interesting stuff out there, some collaborations. Either way, my YouTube channel is officially the place to be. So stick around.